Behind the Game. This is a sports show, but it's really not about sports. At least it's not about the action that takes place on the field, the court, or the ice. It's really about what happens behind the scenes and the influential people, the owners, the agents, the administrators, the promoters who help shape the way that we watch and enjoy sports. Welcome to another episode of Behind the Game. I'm Patrick Klinger. To my left is my friend, the always debonair Bill Robertson, Commissioner of the Western Collegiate Hockey Association.
Thanks, Patrick. Our very special guest today is Miss Shelley Buck, who's in her fourth term with the Prairie Island Indian community, and she is the second term as the president. So welcome to the show.
Well, thank you.
Great to have you.
Happy to be here.
So I think starting off, I think one of the questions I would like to ask is tell us a little bit about your role as a tribal council president.
Well, the role of president isn't too different from the role of any other council member. In our tribe, each council member has basically the same voting rights, the same opportunities, but the president is responsible for doing welcome speeches when we host events. We are the ones who go to things like this. If there's interviews with the newspaper for any reason, it's usually the president that serves as like the spokesperson for the tribe.
Okay. Shelley, for those who are unfamiliar with the Prairie Island Indian community, if you could give us a little bit of background on the tribe's history in southeastern Minnesota.
We are a self-sufficient, sovereign Mdewakanton Dakota nation. We have just over 1,000 members, about half are adults, half are children. We have lived in Minnesota for countless generations, and our reservation is in the southeast part of Minnesota, about 30 miles from St. Paul, along the banks of the Mississippi. We started out with nothing. We were a very poor tribe monetarily and materialistically. And we didn't even have running water and electricity until the late 60s, early 70s, when the nuclear power plant was put in. So we've gone from that to started with a 20,000 square foot bingo hall called Island Bingo. And we've grown from there to where we are today, being the largest employer of Goodhue County and now second largest hotel property in the state of Minnesota.
What do you think has been the key to the growth and success of the casino and the area, in your opinion?
There's a lot of factors that go into it, but first and foremost, we wouldn't have what we have now if it weren't for the sacrifices that our ancestors made years ago. In our culture, we are to look out for the next 7 generations, and every decision we as council make, we have to take that in consideration, how that's going to affect the future of the tribe as a whole. So first and foremost, that would be at the sacrifices that they made. Secondly would be our employees. I say all the time we have the best employees, and because of them, we have what we have as well. We've also been lucky in the fact our terms are every 2 years, so you have the potential for a lot of turnover every 2 years. We've been fortunate the last few years in having a consistency in tribal council. So we have had some turnover, but it's not been as great as it could be.
Shelley, Treasure Island Resort and Casino has been phenomenally successful, and you're expanding. You recently opened up a new addition to the hotel. But the competitive landscape for gaming in Minnesota is pretty competitive. How do you stay ahead? How do you keep the growth coming, considering all the competition that exists out there?
You just have to think outside the box. We continually say that in every meeting we have with casino staff. Think outside the box. We have to go big, do more, do something different. We have an array of entertainment opportunities at the casino or at the island. It's not just gaming. I believe we're the only casino in the state that has a marina, and we're along the banks of the Mississippi. We're right along there, and we have the marina right on the property. So I think we're the only, I don't want to say for sure, but I believe we're the only casino that has that. So we have some amenities that we're not able to, other casinos aren't able to have, and we just opened up our outdoor amphitheater. So it's more permanent now, so it's exciting.
In our past discussions with former guests, we talk about customer service and what it means to an organization, whether you're a gaming casino, you're a concert venue, or you're a sports venue. Tell us and the viewers what you think the philosophy is, and your philosophy on customer service and why it's important.
Well, customer service is everything. You have to make the customers happy. So we do spend a lot of time. Our GM, he does tabletops with some of our players to get their feedback, their ideas. He meets with our higher end players regularly to get ideas from them. And then we also solicit feedback from the customers. There's boxes where they can leave their comments either with their name or without their name.
A sidebar question to that for me is, how do you get a first-time person in the door to Treasure Island Resort and Casino?
That's a hard one, and it depends on the demographic. Each demographic is different. Each age group is different. The sports partnerships help in that. And you just have to look and see, you've got to do a variety of things. That's why we don't stick with just the one thing like gaming. We have a variety of things. We have the water park, we have a wave spa, we have a 24-lane bowling alley, we have the indoor concert venue and the outdoor concert venue. We have the marina, we have the RV park, we have the golf course. So we have a variety of things to try to bring people in.
You know, you call gaming the new buffalo.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, could you explain exactly what that means?
A new buffalo, it's the white buffalo. It brought us back to being self-sufficient. It gave us the opportunity to defend ourselves and fight for ourselves, and it gave us the opportunity to take care of ourselves. We don't rely on anybody else to take care of us. We do that ourselves. So it was our new buffalo.
How about exploring, you had mentioned this briefly, but exploring new business opportunities? You've acquired some land in other parts of the Twin Cities or the surrounding Twin Cities area. Mm-hmm. Maybe you could give our viewers a little hint on what that looks like in the new business philosophy for Treasure Island. For
the recent purchase we had in West Lakeland, we really don't have a concrete idea. The original intent of buying the property was for housing. We have a growing tribe, and our land base is very, very small. So first and foremost, when we buy land, we look at it for housing purposes. We have people who want to move back. The younger generations are wanting to move back, and we have no place to put them. We are locked on that. So we're purchasing, we do want to expand and diversify our economic base. Most people consider when tribes buy land, oh, it's going to be for another casino. We have been very successful at other businesses as well, and we want to continue to diversify those businesses because gaming isn't what it used to be.
You mentioned Mount Frontenac Golf Course, a place that I played many times. Beautiful little golf course. Gorgeous. That sits on the bluffs in southeastern Minnesota. It's probably about 15 miles away or so from the casino. But golf has gone through its ups and downs over the last decade or so. How's the course doing, and do you see any opportunities to expand in golf?
Yes, the golf course is holding its own. We have a tremendous pro up there, Dan Diggins. Shout out to Dan. He does an amazing job in drumming up business. We focus on not only the golfing, but we focus on corporate events up there, weddings. We have a lot of weddings that go on throughout the year. During the winter, he brings snowmobilers up there and has the bar and grill open for that. And then we're looking at other things we can do up at the golf course, other activities that can happen throughout the year.
Well, it's such a scenic course, and it has all the hills and valleys, and I would think, as a person who's played there like Patrick, in the fall, in particular September, early October, there's nothing more beautiful than playing golf at Mount Frontenac.
It's a gorgeous course.
How about the electronic gaming, the decision back in 2012, how does that impact your business now that bars and restaurants can have in their own establishments some gaming opportunities? Has that helped, hurt, or has that just enhanced your business even further?
We recognize that charitable gaming has a long history, and they have they're important to many organizations throughout the state. Our concern, anytime there's expansion of gaming, even when it's electronic pull tabs and bingo, we have to be careful. It becomes a slippery slope, and the state isn't prepared to properly regulate that industry. And for us, we have to watch that. We don't view that pull tabs and bingo as competitive. Since we are a destination resort, we have an array of different entertainment activities besides gaming that we offer. But when you look at the regulatory part of it, if it's not properly regulated, it can cause harm to the entire gaming industry.
Shelley, Treasure Island Resort and Casino has long been a prominent sponsor of local sports teams. Arguably one of the most high-profile sponsors in the marketplace. What's behind your decision to be involved in sports in such a significant way?
Well, for us, we're not in a major city. We're 30 miles out from a major city. We need to drive people out there. So first and foremost, it's the marketing aspect. It's getting customers out to us. Second, it's a bigger arena to engage the community, not only our own community, but the surrounding communities. And then finally, it gives us a greater opportunity to be socially responsible. So we look at all the different aspects and everything that those sponsorships bring to us, and it gives us a bigger platform than what we would do as just ourselves as a casino.
And if I could follow up on that, you mentioned social responsibility. How do you use sports to sort of share the message of the Prairie Island Indian community and your tribe and your history?
That is one of the most exciting things for me with the partnerships. I'm all about educating people on our tribe and who we are, where we come from, and that is something that the sports teams have been open to. And we're able to have, like I said, the bigger platform. We're able to reach more people. We're able to educate more people about who we are. And unfortunately, in this country and in this state, we failed at the education system on educating people on the true history of Native Americans in this country. And so having these partnerships gives us the ability to reach more people and educate them the proper way.
For you, how do you measure the impact of these sports sponsorships? I mean, there's analytics to do some of that for you. It's always a hard question because nobody really knows exactly, are there more people, are you driving more traffic? Are there more people coming to the casino? Are they coming to the golf course? Are they coming to the concerts through these sports sponsorships? So I'd love to hear from you as someone who works diligently like Patrick in the sponsorship area and how challenging it can be. Tell us the recipe for that.
There is no recipe, and if someone finds it, I'd like to know what it is. We as council ask that. We ask that all the time on council of the casino. Like, how are we creating an ROI on this? And you can't create a true ROI like you can with other business opportunities. You can, like you said, with some analytics, look at the marketing aspect of it and how those marketing dollars are being spent and what it would cost you if you were to use that marketing venue without the partnership. So you're able to see dollar for dollar what you're getting and if it's worth it. But then you have to add on to it, and this is the hard part, is everything that comes with those partnerships. We have the community engagement where they come down and do clinics. The different teams do clinics for our community, and a lot of times we're able to invite the surrounding communities as well. So that youth aspect, getting the youth involved in the sports and giving them something to do, that's priceless. You can't really put a price on that. Then you have the social responsibility as well, helping others. That's something in our culture we are very, very proud of, is we help others. That's always been something we've done, and with the partnerships we're able to expand that and reach more people and help raise more funds for charity organizations. So we have a responsibility. We are a business. The sports teams have a responsibility. They are huge. I mean, sports are throughout the world are one of the most popular. The athletes are so vital in all of that. They have a responsibility as well, and we're able to work together. So that's kind of priceless. You can't really put a price on that.
Sure. Minnesota's been a bastion of high-profile sports events over the last decade, arguably maybe the last 20 or 30 years. We've had just about every major sporting event held in this country is taking place in Minnesota. How have you taken advantage of those high-profile events, and have they had an impact on your business?
Well, the most recent one that we did was the Super Bowl. Of course, we had the Super Bowl here in Minnesota, and we wanted to be a part of it, but every avenue that we looked at, it was just more money than what we thought it was worth. So we decided we weren't going to really be a part of it. We might do little things here or there. Then we had the opportunity to sponsor the zip line over the Mississippi, and that was absolutely amazing. Just to see our name up on that tower and all these people going across the Mississippi and having the opportunity to go across the Mississippi in a zip line, which I love zip lining. It was awesome to go across the Mississippi. Of course, I froze to death, but it was a good time, and that was huge. People were commenting left and right about, there's Treasure Island. We saw Treasure Island on the zip line. That's cool. That's cool. Are you guys going to continue to do this every year? And we're like, well, we don't know if it's going to be here every year. So, yeah, it was exciting. That was the biggest one we've done. I don't know on my time as on council if we've ever done anything at that level.
Fantastic. And did you see an uptick in your business, or do you typically see more people who flow down to the casino and to the hotel when we have these large national events taking place?
It's hard to really determine. We're a little ways out, so a lot of times when people come to something like the Super Bowl, they want to be downtown where all the action is. So on big events like that, it's harder to drive business down to us, but it will get people who might come back later when they first time to Minnesota, coming to the Super Bowl, and they realize how great Minnesota really is, and then they see our name and they're like, Treasure Island, we'll have to look this up. They look us up, find out where we're at, and maybe possibly bring another trip down and visit one of the games if their team comes into town, and then use us as a casino. So it's a little harder because of our location, but we try. We do our best.
Many people may not know that you have this beautiful 24-lane bowling center, and I bowled at Treasure Island in my past, and I think it's a beautiful facility. I know you've done some amateur events there and some smaller professional events. Would you ever consider the opportunity, because it has such a loyal following on television, a PBA event that you could host at Treasure Island to bring that type of audience to the casinos?
We have done some smaller PBA events, and we're always open to do more. We have some great facilities like the bowling alley. We have the sports complex across the street, the 4 softball fields that we host different state, national, and kids tournaments. So we're always open to bringing in more people and showing what we have there. So yeah, we're always open to it.
Okay.
Shelley, Treasure Island recently purchased the naming rights to Treasure Island Center, which is a multi-purpose facility in downtown St. Paul, and it hosts the Minnesota Wild Practice Facility. It's your first naming rights deal, I understand. So if you could, give us a little insight into the thought process behind the decision to sponsor that venue.
Well, we're looking to get back into St. Paul anyway. St. Paul is our ancestral homeland. We traveled up here. We have our ancestors buried along the river. So to get back to St. Paul was something we really, really wanted to do. We've had a long-standing partnership with the Wild, 20 plus years, and when this was brought to us, we're like, perfect. It's a huge building, everybody knows it. It has the Wild Practice Facility on top, which is a great partner of ours to begin with. We have office space downtown right now anyway, downtown St. Paul. We can move it over to there. We can have some of our casino offices up there, the sales, HR, different offices up there. So it was just like a no-brainer. And for me to know what my ancestors dealt with, and to be able to walk down St. Paul and see our name on the side of the building in bright, big letters, and to see our tribal flag flying on the top of that building is just makes my heart happy. Brings a tear to my eyes sometimes. It's just, it's great to see.
It is certainly that building along with the Xcel Energy Center, which has now been in existence since the year 2000, and now you have CHS Field on the other side. St. Paul has changed dramatically from a sports aspect and perspective, with now these three major tenants in the sports field, one on one side of St. Paul downtown, one on the other, and one kind of in the middle. So I give you a lot of credit for seeing the vision for that, and having a partner like the Minnesota Wild is wonderful.
Yes, thank you. We're proud.
I want to know this, so you've gone to all sorts of different local sporting events, and I'm sure our viewers would like to know, is there a favorite for you? I mean, you talked about the Wild a little bit, the Vikings, the Twins, some of the graphics will show many different sides of Treasure Island Resort and Casino. You've been involved in boxing in the past, all sorts of different events. Is there a favorite for you on a personal level, and something that you will seek out to go watch?
Well, first and foremost, I love sports of all kinds. Whatever it is, I love it. Of course, being there and watching it is much better to me than watching it on TV, but I grew up with my favorite sport being football. However, my team is the Denver Broncos, not the Minnesota Vikings. Sorry. I will go see Vikings, but I just enjoy the game. I love football. I played football in recess in elementary school, played powder puff in high school, so that would be my childhood love. Since moving to Minnesota and getting involved in more of the sports aspects here, I've really grown to love hockey. We didn't have hockey in Indiana where I grew up, so when I came here and saw that, I was like, this is absolutely amazing. I love the aggression. I think that's why I like the football. It's an aggressive sport. It just blew me away. So of course the Wild are my favorite team. I do like the Avs, but the Wild are my favorite team, and I root for them. And I just purchased season tickets to the Wild my first time, so I would say that would be my moving into my new favorite.
I'm sure the Minnesota Wild are grateful for that. Shelley, the U.S. Supreme Court recently ruled that Nevada-style sports betting was permissible outside of Nevada. And it's really opened up, a new frontier that nobody's quite figured out what to do with at this point. And obviously, it's going to have an impact at some point in Minnesota. We're not quite there yet, but I'm sure it's on the horizon. Considering your role and the casino that you operate, how do you feel about legalized sports betting, and how will that affect your operations?
While the Supreme Court ruling does make a clear path for a widespread sports gaming, there's a reason why many states, including Minnesota, haven't jumped at the opportunity to embrace sports betting. It takes a lot of money to start gaming operations and create proper regulatory operations, and I think that is why many of the tribes in Minnesota have not rushed in to start it. There's an illusion that sports betting is a quick and easy moneymaker, and unfortunately, that's just an illusion. So we're cautious. The last session, the Minnesota lawmakers, I believe, knew that about sports betting, and that's why there were no bills introduced last session. As far as this session, I really can't speculate on what the legislator is going to do, but we watch it, we'll keep an eye on it, and we just think it's going to cost more. We're the ones who have the regulatory proven track record and the operations, so if it were to come to the state, it would be more cost effective and efficient for it to be in gaming tribal casinos than thousands of places throughout the state that doesn't have the regulatory function that we do.
I would think that the average person on the street would believe that there's a lot of money to be made by casinos to have legalized sports betting on games, in particular, well, all sports, but really football comes to mind, and basketball and baseball on a regular basis. There'd be lots of money coming into the casinos, but understanding the regulatory piece is something that the general public probably doesn't know a lot. Maybe in our last few minutes you could maybe just explain that a little bit so our listeners and viewers out there can understand that.
It was something I wasn't totally familiar with at the beginning. I love to do sports betting when I go to Vegas, but I didn't know the ins and outs until this became a reality. And the bottom line from sports betting is very, very minimal. It's usually less than 5% profit because all the different leagues take their cut. Then, of course, the state and local entities take their cut. So federal is going to take this cut. So there's just all these different levels that are taking a cut off the top line. And it costs a lot of money to start these things. So it just doesn't make enough money.
Shelley, you've got a master's degree in sports management from Concordia in St. Paul. Now, that must be pretty beneficial when you're negotiating these contracts with sports teams, and because you understand the world of sports.
Yeah, it was pretty fitting. I started the degree before I got on council 3 times ago, and I finished it while I was elected to council. So I got to see firsthand and actually do some of my reports and paperwork on our partnerships, and my thesis paper was actually on that. So it's very interesting. It actually kind of put everything all in scope, and it made sense. And like I said, I love sports, so now if I don't get back on council, I have a place I can go to work.
Is there an average day for you? Is every day completely different in your current role? And I think a lot of people would believe that you're focused a lot on sports, but it's not just sports for you. It's a whole host of things. As we talked about customer service, making sure your venues are open and accessible, and your people are showing up to work, and the people that want to call and say I had a great time versus the people that say I need some help because this didn't go well. Maybe just give us a little hint about what's an average day like, or maybe there isn't.
There isn't an average day. It's all chaotic. My days are very, very chaotic, meetings all the time. And something a lot of people don't know, with tribal council, you're not only running the day-to-day business of all your businesses, you're actually looking out and doing the tribal business as well. We have our own police department, we have our own family services, our own clinic, our own fitness center, our own land and environment. We have all these different departments that we're responsible for, as well as the tribal members. I work for over 1,000 tribal members, and I'm responsible to them for my decisions. So my regular day would be meetings, get to work and go to meetings. Most of the time we eat lunch during the meeting. Afterwards, we have very little time to go to our office, and my stack of papers to file are this big, and that's only the ones you can see. I've hidden that much in a drawer somewhere else because I got tired of looking at it, so I'm going to have to find another drawer to hide that in. There's just no time to do filing. And then emails constantly. My work phone's always with me, even when I travel. And then on Mondays, I'm able to play softball. And on Tuesdays, or used to be Tuesdays in the summer, I was able to play volleyball. Now it's Fridays I'm able to play volleyball. So I make a little time for myself as well as for my children.
Good for you. Hey, Shelley, thank you for joining us on Behind the Game today. We really appreciate you taking the time.
Well, thank you for having me. This was fun.
Fantastic. And thank you for watching. We'll see you next month on Behind the Game.